What is going on, traders? In this video, we're going to talk about Nvidia, the semiconductor ETF SMH, and the possibility of more downside. Now, I imagine a lot of you are not going to like this video because maybe you're permabull, or maybe you have shares in Nvidia, or maybe you're currently in calls. Whatever the case may be, we have to go over the possibility of Nvidia heading towards 100. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now we are looking at the daily time frame, and as you guys can see, we are looking at a rising wedge pattern. What's important to note here is that we have broken below this pattern not once, not twice, but 3 times. And so what that tells me as a trader, and what that should honestly tell you, is that bears are trying their best to break Nvidia down. You broke down here, bull stepped in. You broke down here, bull stepped in once again. And I will go as far as to say that bears have been the most successful at this current breakdown. Why? Because we have us a bearish engulfing candle. Not only do we have a bearish engulfing candle, but we have 2 bearish candles to follow through on this breakdown, leading to a break below the rising wedge pattern once again. And so your key levels here, if we're talking about upside, is 141. You get above 141, you're looking at a move towards 143. After that, you're looking at a move towards 145 psych level. If we're talking about downside, this is where you really need to pay attention and where you need to lock in. All right. If we're talking about downside on Nvidia, your key level is 131, 130 psych level. But this is where it gets really, really important. We go down to the 4-hour time frame. All right. We zoom in on the 4-hour time frame, and as you guys can see right here, you have a triple bottom. You have a bullish wick here, and then you have a bullish engulfing candle here. So that tells me, and that should tell you as a trader, that bulls are extremely present in this area and that they need to hold this area right here in order for Nvidia to have any hopes of more upside. All right. If we break below 126, 127, give or take, we'll just say 125 because that's our psych level. Nvidia is heading towards 120. We talked about that target in the past. But where am I getting this 100 target from? Well, we go back to the daily time frame, and all we're doing is going to measure the rising wedge pattern. We measure the open and close of the rising wedge pattern. So what you would do is you will get whatever measuring tool you want. You measure the open, the close of it, and then you bring it towards the breaking of the rising wedge pattern. And your projected move is all the way towards 105, 104, give or take. And so that is where I am getting that 100 target from. Now, if we're talking about the 120 target, all you would do is cut this in half, and there you go. You will have your 120 target. Now, maybe that's not enough. Maybe you need a little bit more for whatever. All right. Let's look at the weekly time frame, and let's actually get rid of this. So on the weekly time frame, we have us, give me a moment. 1, 2, 3. You have a double top forming on the weekly time frame. All right. You have your top here, you have another top here, and then you have a dark cloud cover here. We talked about what a dark cloud cover is in the last video. Feel free to Google that pattern, but it's not looking good for Nvidia. All right. So those are my confirmations that we could start seeing moves towards 100, at minimum 120 on Nvidia. Now, it's important to note that I don't expect this move to happen overnight. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week or anything like that. Obviously, you're going to have bounces along the way, dead cat bounces, liquidity grabs, all that fun stuff along the way. I don't expect this move to happen overnight. But it is important to pay attention to this. It is important to keep this in the back of your mind. Maybe you don't want to, whatever the case may be, do what you want with this information. And so that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia. Your neckline is at 126 for this double top pattern on the weekly time frame. Again, this is the weekly time frame, so you should not expect this to play out overnight. And so we look at the semiconductor ETF SMH. And we talked about this in the last video. You have a dark cloud cover. Okay, this is a very bearish pattern on the semiconductor ETF SMH. If you don't know what this is, it's simple. One of its number one holdings is Nvidia. So when Nvidia goes down, this thing goes down. When Nvidia goes up, this thing goes up, and vice versa. All right. So right now we are looking at a dark cloud cover on SMH. We go down to the daily time frame here, and as you guys can see, we have broken trend. All right. Not only that, but you can argue that there is a bear flag right here. Okay. You can argue it. You can argue that it's not. You can argue that it is. Whatever the case may be. we're going to go with it. If it looks like the pattern, assume that it is until proven otherwise. And so you broke below this trend right here. You see it right here. I didn't make it up. I didn't force it or anything like that. You bounced here. You bounced here. You gapped down. You broke below it. And then you started consolidating under it. And then you started rejecting here. And then you rejected here once again. So hopefully that proves that this trend is very much valid. All right. And so what I will say is that there is a possibility for one more bounce right here. Now, I told you guys already in the Discord, we are into 20 puts on SMH. I still think this thing is going to see more downside, especially given what I just said about Nvidia. But I do think there is a possibility for maybe one more bounce. Maybe we see one more move towards 253, 252, give or take, before seeing another breakdown because this area is very illiquid right here. So I do imagine that there is going to be a liquidity grab or a dead cat bounce towards this area. And then we see another breakdown towards the downside. And so that's really all I have for this video. It's a short, quick one. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you agree? If so, let me know. If you disagree, let me know below. Just keep it respectful as always. Discord link is in the description below if you want to see how we're going to trade the semiconductor ETF SMH and Nvidia. And until the next video, traders, have you a good one.